Hello, I'm Sophie D'Souza and welcome to my channel Sophie Stained Glass, a channel dedicated to everything to do with architectural glass for professionals and for beginners. Today's video is going to be a 5 things that's good to know when you start doing stained glass. So probably best for people beginning, but maybe interesting for other people too. So the first thing I want to reassure you is that your projects when you start won't be wonderful. They really are projects you should consider as ways to develop your skills, and you should be proud of them, and you shouldn't expect them to look like professional pieces, but resist the temptation to point out the imperfections to people, and just see them as part of the journey, and one day you'll look back at them and you'll see how much you've improved. But don't think you'll achieve perfection at first. I mean, the first panels I made all had tiny little gaps and holes and things. I mean, I was doing rather ambitious panels, which is another thing you could avoid and it might help your journey. So that's number 1. Be proud of everything you make, even when you're at the beginning stages. Don't expect them to be perfect. So that's number 1. Number 2, learn to design for the medium. Now this will help you not just in the look of your final piece, but it will help you in how you're able to make the panel. So if you've been cutting glass, even for a little while, you'll have begun to get a sense of what sort of shapes you can cut and what things are utterly impossible. What you need to do is restrict your designs or adapt your designs according to the medium. There is a temptation to get frustrated and think, but that's not how I want it to look. You know, I need to buy some grinder or hole cutter or something that will allow me to achieve exactly the design that's in my head. But no, you need to start thinking differently about how you design, and don't be afraid to just whack in a lead line if it's a piece that's impossible to cut. Now sometimes you can just take them straight across to the nearest point and that will be fine. Other times you can sort of gracefully lead a lead line, you know, like that. But don't worry that that's going to ruin the end look, because actually we're accustomed to looking at stained glass windows with lots of sort of extraneous lines, because it's all part of the manufacturing process and it's structural, and your eye just doesn't mind them somehow. So yes, that's number 2, learn to design for the medium. Number 3 is don't think that fancy tools will compensate for developing your skills. And this is mostly in reference to grinders. I think grinders should be banished from the earth in this context, because what you need to be working on is your cutting skills, and thinking that a grinder will correct your cutting is the wrong way to think, really. You need to think, I need to get better at my cutting. Yes, don't rely on tools to compensate for your skills. Work on those cutting skills. Number 4, understanding colour in stained glass. Now, probably you're all drawn to stained glass because of what it does with light and colour, and there's nothing more beautiful than seeing the light stream through a stained glass window, and there is a tendency to want really bright colours to make that dramatic impact. But I'm not saying you shouldn't use bright colours. There's definitely places where bright colours are wonderful, and I use a lot of strong colours. But if you look at traditional architectural glass, domestic architectural glass, they actually use slightly more subdued colours. And if you want to do front doors or things like that for houses. Resist the temptation to go down the bright coloured route, because they won't look authentic. They will look like a modern interpretation of a traditional window. And if what you're trying to do is reinstate, the glass that was removed in the 60s, you need to restrict your palette to the colours they'd have used in the 20s or the 19th century, whatever. And obviously you can see that by looking at other houses. And my last tip, number 5, is take a bit of time on the internet to look at the work of other stained glass artists. It can be amazingly inspiring. You might find you're drawn to a particular style, particular colours, particular techniques. They can be artists from the 19th century, they can be from the 1920s, they might be contemporary, but there are some amazing artists out there and some amazing work. And you will learn so much and inform your work if you do a bit of idle research while you're having your cup of coffee with your computer there. So I would really recommend doing that. So my 5 getting started tips are: don't expect too much from your first projects and just be really proud of them. Keep them and you will see your development. Understand the medium and its restrictions and let that inform your design. That's number 2. Number 3, really develop your cutting skills. Don't think a grinder will make up for that. Sorry. Number 4, understand colour and tradition. And 5, have a look around you and be inspired by other artists. So just 5 quick tips which I hope have been interesting stroke useful. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe, and you can hit the bell and you'll be notified when I post, which is a Tuesday and a Friday. Yes, twice a week. And yes, please comment and like.